We read Marcus' books to engage in the process of discussing mind, body, soul healing. And we have with us today Bob Livingstone, and his book is entitled The Mind, Body, Soul Solution. And we just want to talk about the healing emotional pains. How did you come up with the subtitle? I mean, I like titles, but the subtitle really speaks volumes. How did you come up with the subtitle, Healing Emotional Pain Through Exercise?
Well, it was a personal experience I had. I was feeling numb for quite some time, meaning feeling not sad, not angry, devoid of feeling, which to me is the worst way to feel. Nothing. So I've been a runner for like 25, 30 years, and so one day I went out in my normal 5-mile run. I had my MP3 player on, listened to Mary J. Blige, and it was her dance remix CD, so it was really high energy. So I started running, and I just asked myself, what's troubling me? Why do I feel so estranged from myself? And why do I feel so lost? And so what I came up with was that I felt memory came up, and the memory came up that I had really missed this little girl we used to take care of for years and years. When she was 9 at the time, and her aunt one day decided she couldn't stay with us anymore. And she was like a daughter to me, the closest I ever had. We don't have our own children, but she was the closest as a child that I ever had. So I noticed at that moment how sad I was and how much I really loved her and how much I missed her. And so I felt the tears come down, and I really connected with that loss. And so after I was done running, I came back to the apartment in Park Merced, and instead of taking a shower immediately, I decided that I wanted to really write down how I felt about it and expand the process.
But this was after you get run? After
I ran, yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So I wrote about it in the journal form, and I kept doing that for a number of times, and I felt that I was really came to terms with the loss of her. And I also realized that I had developed a new self-help kind of program that might be helpful to a lot of people. So hence I started writing this book. And it took me about 5 years to write it and get the right format and get the right editor and get the right publisher. And my publisher told me today that 2/3 of the first print has been sold. So
congratulations.
Yeah,
that's an accomplishment to be able to connect. What it says is that whatever the content is, that is resonating well with some people's souls.
Right. And souls, a lot of people don't know what that word means. So let's talk about that. And for me, a soul could mean a place where the faith, you hold your faith, a place where your wisdom is, where your higher self is. And some people, it's where God resides. To me, the most important part of it is that you can find your own truths in yourself, and so much we're taught to look outside of ourselves to find the answers. And as a therapist, and I've been a therapist for 20 years, and I work with children, adults, and adolescents, and I've been in therapy myself. I think that's where I learned the most about how to be a therapist. Because if you're not in touch with your own issues, you really can't help anybody else. That's what I really believe. So, so being in touch, getting to that place where you find your soul and you can utilize it and help find answers for yourself and heal yourself.
In psychotherapeutic terms, what you describe, that numb feeling, is known as alexithymia. It's the area where words and feelings don't seem to match up, where words don't describe the moment.
Right.
And there was something in the movement, the activity that began to bring about a connection for you, where there was this opening up.
Okay.
So how did that? I mean, to tell us more about that opening up experience.
Okay. So there's a couple ways to explain it. One is what happens with the brain chemistry, which I will try my best to explain it. The brain neurotransmitters that are they're signals that go to your brain, to your body. There are a number of them that are affected by exercise. One is the serotonin that deals with mood. One is dopamine, which deals with the pleasure centers that we have. The other is the endorphins that gives you a euphoric feeling. So when you exercise, all those neurotransmitters, they kick in. And they allow you to feel this feeling of calmness, which allows you to face emotional pain in a way that you might not be able to when you're sedentary because it's too scary. So the calmness also allows you to feel more confident in order to do it. So I ask people to come up with an emotional pain question before they go out to exercise. That's part of the program.
Okay. So what you do is that you bring about a level of awareness of something that may be there, the pain issue. And then through the movement, we're talking about creating the endorphin, serotonin, and dopamine activation process. Well, we also know that within the brain process, there's of course the amygdala, which is that piece that deals with quick reactions or responses to certain things. And then also there's the prefrontal lobe and all that good stuff that we talk about in psychology.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that when we can connect with what's happening consciously, then through the process of the body's movement, because endorphins are of course very, very prevalent when we do exercise.
That's
because
right.
it's to help us to not feel some jolts or pains that we actually
That's right. Yeah.
may feel. So then that moves us to a point of healing, or to a healing space, or to awareness to be able to go to heal.
Right. Right. And I have found there's like 8 or 9 case studies in the book of other folks who have used the program, and I have found that in the first workout, people find insights that they haven't before because of the very thing we're just talking about, that they can...
Give us an example of an insight that someone came across.
Well, I can think of many, but one I'll think of is this woman Sarah in the book. She's 50 years old, and she realized that, well, her father and her ex-husband were both alcoholics. And she realized that she had similar issues with both of them. And she realized that she was driven to seek out familiarity, even though it was destructive to her. So that's one of the things she really learned while she was exercising, and after sitting down and writing about it. Her exercise is walking. She would walk about 40 minutes. And there are studies that show as little as 15 minutes a day can get you into the state of calmness. So you don't have to, run 5 miles a day like I do, or bike 20 miles, which I do now too, in order to reach that state. Yeah.
Some people take drugs to get to that state.
Yeah, I know. I've done that.
but not realizing that the body actually has its own dopamine, which is where dope comes from, the idea of the sedentary state of dopamine, and endorphins, because of the scientists realized that it was endo, which is inside the body, morphine. So we actually have the chemicals that we need to bring about this state of calm and peace and awareness.
Right. Matter of fact, there's a recent Duke University had 2 recent studies that compared people with major depressive disorder with exercising and folks who were doing the new antidepressants, the Prozac, Paxil, etc. And guess what? People who exercised did at least as well or better than the people who were on the medication. Yeah. So it's, so somehow this study hasn't been seen the light of day, so.
The pharmaceutical companies have a hard time packaging exercise.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I think in my practice, it's not like I don't believe that medication can't be helpful, because it can be at times,
Yes.
for sure. But there's a lot of things people can try first, like, the programs in my book.